everyone. In this part or interlude, I can't make up my mind what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be part 9, but I've always wanted to discuss the Fitbit because I don't understand. One thing I don't understand is the number of days that it was working after Nicola was apparently dead. And the other thing is the location. So I decided to do as much research as I can on it from the Inquest, what they'd released, and a newspaper of what they released. Because you know that I try to go into my readings without anything. And when I get further in and I've looked into stuff, that's when I find it hard to just read the cards, channel the cards, unless I sit and connect a little bit before I jump into the reading. And sometimes I just plummet into the reading if I've not had time in my day to just ground myself. And you must ground yourself when you're a psychic. So let's see how this reading goes. Now, the Fitbit Versa 4 apparently Nikki had. And from what was released, between 8 AM and 9:30 AM, Nikki had walked 4,548 steps. That's an average of 855 steps per 15 minutes on average. Then her steps seem to have gone a lot less between 9:15 and 9:30 AM. There wasn't as many steps as the average of 855 steps per 15 minutes. So it went from 9:15 to 9:30, and the steps at that time were 273. Not much really, right? So she stopped at some stage in that 15 minutes, because even when you walk around the bench, whatever they were saying, she was on the Teams call, she was just pondering around. It logs your steps, doesn't it? Then I have a problem with the number of days they said the Fitbit was alive after her death, as well as that it was recording her heart rate for those days. You might be able to correct me in the comments. I'm not sure if you all get the same number of days, but it's averaging between, what I'm seeing is that it was alive for 6 days after, 8 days after, 12 days after. So I'm not really sure what it is, but that makes it around the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th of Feb, depending on the number of days it was actually. Now, I don't know if that's possible. I know that my Fitbit would not last more than, for example, 4 days, probably 4 days. So 6 days might be believable, but more than that, I even find 6 a bit difficult to believe. But more than that, like the 8 days, the 12 days is just beyond. I mean, if it was 4 or 5 days, that's kind of believable. And the other thing that I can't get my head around is how come, seen as maybe a mistake was made. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please use your own discernment. Please look at their fact finds, and the law enforcement provide the facts or whatever is needed. Use your own discernment. This is allegedly my opinion, and the whole content of this video is for entertainment purposes only. A disclaimer. Her Fitbit was on. We know that it wasn't tracking a few days before, it wasn't synced, but then it was synced. So that means for the days until the Fitbit died, which maybe they thought of later, maybe we shouldn't have disclosed that, because that means we have evidence of location. You should do. And that's what I don't understand. I don't understand how they don't have evidence of a location, or is it just not given to the public? How is it not covered in the inquest yet? The time frame of the Fitbit, the steps, is covered in the inquest. So the steps are noted in the inquest, the location is not, especially after 9:30, where they say the bench and then there's no location. But why not? The heart rate's also noted. And I think, didn't they do, based on the Fitbit location and time, the whole time frame of 8:52, 9, 9:10, 9:20, 9:22, 9:30, blah, 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 according to her Fitbit and her phone. So at 9:20, her phone has 3 headset pings near the bench. So the phone is synced. 9:22, that's when Nicola Bulley's watch recorded a significant spike in her heart rate. As per like the data recorded. So let's just pick up where I note that. DCKG, check out what the initials mean, interpreted the Fitbit Versa 4 watch Nikki was wearing on the 27th of January 2023. DCKG explained that Nikki's Fitbit recorded steps in 15-minute segments. On the 27th of Jan, between 8 and 9:30, it recorded 4,548 steps, like I mentioned. Between 9:15 and 9:30, the count was 273 steps, a substantial reduction from the previous hour. And when I calculated it, it was around 8:55, which I think they mentioned later in this. There were no further steps recorded on the watch after 9:30 a.m. At 9:20 a.m, Nikki's phone was located by 3 headset pings in the area of the bench. It was located. I thought somebody found it. But anyway, there was 3 phone pings. At 9:22, Nikki's watch recorded a significant spike in the heart rate data series examined that morning before 9:33 a.m. What does that mean? Why have they put 9:33 a.m. before 9:33 a.m.? Let's see why. PF was walking her own dog and arrived at the side of the bench at 9:33 a.m. So they're saying her heart rate was 9:22 a.m. when it spiked, and it wasn't at 9:33, just in case, you know, anyone's trying to link it. PF found Willow running loose and the mobile phone on the bench that was still connected to the Teams call and a dog harness, which was later found to have retractable lead attached. Oh, I found the lead part. attached to it midway between the bench and the gate, I think. So the lead was there, which we'd never heard of earlier than that. Again, I mentioned in my thing, it's all about a 10-minute time frame. So does that mean the location of her phone was switched off so that it won't pick up via the phone? Yet, according to research, they believe the phone was left at the bench between 9:20 and 9:33 until someone had, after, it was notified that it was there. And of course she would have been still on the bench if 9:33 that lady had passed the bench and found the phone, because the Teams call, I think, was it at 9:30? I think they said it was at 9:30 and not 9, so yeah, 9:30. So of course it's still going to be on. Now, apparently, if, for example, let's just use this in a different case, right? If, for example, we're looking out for, and this is not related, we're just talking normal. If we're looking out for let's say a serial killer. Not if we, but if the police and everyone, for the safety of people. There are mobile phone towers. And so a nearby location can be found by mobile phone companies via the phone towers that they have. And then it can help pinpoint closer the GPS. The GPS can then help pinpoint it to a closer location. So why is the location not published? Why is the location after the map of the morning not published? I questioned also, why are we only knowing from 8:52 the mobile phone logs? Normally, when there's investigations, it goes back a few weeks. There's something not released, because I highly doubt that this was not looked into, because it just doesn't seem right as law enforcement. And also, I think with some people there's tracking once you get back home via Alexa, and all those apps also do tracking. Now, so for 8 or 12 days, whatever they're saying, the Fitbit was alive, the battery was running. Just check out this a few second clip.
Moving on to Fitbit, as I know this has been of interest. Unfortunately, despite many technicians and specialists looking at this, there is no further information that we can gain from that, because it hadn't been synced for a number of days.
So which part is that addressing? 9:22, the phone has 3 pings. Obviously, the location can be located. The model of a Fitbit Versa 4, we know that if it's connected to your phone, the phone will pick up your location. If not, the actual Fitbit itself picks up the location. Where's the Fitbit, by the way? Did they find the Fitbit? But it has a tracker on it as well, not just the phone. And if they don't have a location on it, and let's say the Fitbit, I don't know what's happened to the Fitbit, everything, did they find that the location was suddenly switched off on the phone and the Fitbit? Although even when you put your Fitbit, I don't know, if you come back online with your Fitbit, it still tracks back to where you was. It has a log. So did someone try to turn off the location on the phone? Again, I mentioned earlier about the phone and fingerprints on the phone. Yes, maybe someone picked it up, etc. But you can still test it, and they might have done. Maybe it's not being released because, yes, most people hold the phone at a certain, most people won't hold the phone like that. It's more or less in the middle towards the end. But you never know. And hand size, etc. So it lost its battery power after whatever, 6, 8, 12 days. But in between the days of where they said the 27th, she fell in the river and drowned, it was picking up her heart rate. And there's recording of the location until on the 27th of Jan until 9:30 a.m. Her movement can be found. So from the 27th until let's say 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th of Feb, the Fitbit was actually in water, and we know it can go into a certain amount of meters of water. But I pose a question here. I somehow think that a heart rate of a human alive, just normal, would be very different to the heart rate picked up on if you're dead and it's just water hitting against the Fitbit. And to top that up, you can go to the doctors, because when you go to the doctors, her medical records will have blood pressure testing. When she's been in, even at that walk-in centre, they do the first measurements always, your blood pressure and stuff like that, as soon as you're going in, to make sure that you're kind of safe to sit until you're seen to. So they can always track what her normal blood pressure, heart rate, is via that as well. Just like this, I know that that's gone a bit more on an advance, but you can. And I've not looked into it, but I truly think that and I truly think there's a difference between a live human heart rate, their heart rate, and what would be picked up on in someone's being dead, not a heart rate and just water hitting against the wrist. I've mentioned this before, but I still can't, I just cannot kind of understand the thinking process of Nikki's body going up and down that river, around the corner, etc. But part 7, if you've not seen it, please do see it. And if you've not seen the other parts, do see them. What I read on, what I knew was coming, what I was getting psychically when I grounded myself today. That's why I'm doing this part, because I've not taken time to ground myself. But I decided to ask a question if there's anything to come through. And obviously you've got to always ask direct questions. And that's why in the interlude part 5, I also wasn't very grounded, and I just asked some, not interlude part 5 for Nicola, sorry. Maddie's interlude part 2, I just pulled some cards and I read them. And as they came out, reading them was tarot, but also then trying to tune in psychically. But I had not taken time to sort of connect. I just wanted to pull some cards to give a little message. So that's what I have, and I pose in terms of the Fitbit, okay? And I'm not convinced that they didn't do all those checks. I'm just not convinced of it. So the cards that I actually pulled were interesting, because the first one that came out, as I was pulling, I was like, Zaina, you know, you can't just go into a reading and just say, just give me cards. I've got to ask a certain question. So I was sat thinking, I was like, okay, Zain, and the word pull came through to me. Again, disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. Read the disclaimer at the bottom of the screen. Man holding the coin came out. Number 7, interesting. Then we had 2, and I was like, okay, no, I need to sit and meditate. But actually, I was like, okay, continue. We have the solar plexus, and we have the sacral chakra plexus. Why do I see him in that picture? The face. It's not quite, but I don't know, for a moment I did. And the solar and the sacral chakra. Then I had rest and rejuvenation come out. Financial constraints came out. All tied up was staring at me while I was doing it. And then caring connections came out in reverse. My cards are not upright, and so I need to put them upright. But that's how it came out. All up apart from that. So a little bit of greed here, and a little bit of things that have gone wrong due to finances, which we mentioned. And I think some of the, where I said do some auditing, comes down to sort of this sort of stuff, you know, maybe a loss or something. Nicola. The partnership, the love that happened, that just was coming to an end, came to an end, not only by her death, was coming to an end, and then with her death came to an end. It wasn't like they wasn't getting along anymore. There was a disconnection. There was a need for healthy emotions to be present, for helpful communication, and that wasn't happening. The solar and sacral chakra, the solar is taking action. With this, I'm getting that it's about greed, you know. It's about taking action, and maybe with the sacral chakra, not thinking creatively from the right chakra space, and more or less being in a selfish kind of space, a fear-based space actually. Sacral can be shame as well, instead of using your creativity and using your intuition, which which was what I said was speaking to Nicola quite a bit. So I'm gonna leave the Fitbit edition. I'll just call it part 8 or interlude or an interlude. But again, I mean, it kind of mirrors the message that I've always been getting, always delivered from the first one. I also saw that there was there a graffiti drawing in an area in, I forgot the area it was in, and that the children, the 2 girls and the partner and the sister's partner, I think, took a picture. I found that really weird. I think for me it would be just like, hey, so and so, really appreciate the work that you've put into this it's lovely, it must have taken a lot of time, you're creative, you're really talented, but I don't think I would go take a picture and take the 2 girls there. And the thing is, it's not only one of the adults that thought it's a good idea. There's at least 2 adults there that think it's a good idea, and there might be one that just tags along. Like, you need to be in the picture, not to, for whatever reasons. But I feel that person in their energy is a bit more tense as opposed to the others being a bit jolly. And obviously the girls, I think their faces blurred. I don't know. I happened to see it and I was like, this is a bit weird. Maybe that's just me. You can let me know in the comments. So I hope everyone's having a lovely day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Hope you enjoyed this. Take care. And I'll see you in our next one. Bye for now.